Hi, I'm Deepika Grover with Grover Mortgage Group.
And I'm Natalie Van Cardo with the Nat Nate Real Estate Team.
Welcome to our new podcast,
Real Estate of Mind,
where we discuss real estate, life, and everything in between.
We're excited for you to follow us and join in on our journey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back. I feel
Welcome back to you, too.
I know. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you, so I'm happy we're here.
I know, me too. For those of you who don't know, which how would you know, Natalie was in Florida. How was it?
It was very good. Yeah, it was fun. We got to explore and do a bunch of stuff.
What did you do? Where'd you go?
We went around like the Clearwater area.
I've never been to Florida, so where is that?
I'm not good at geography. Okay, so it's like St. Pete's, Clearwater.
Like, where in relation to Miami is it?
Oh, okay, so Miami's like down here, and we're kind of more the Gulf of Mexico. So we're on the other side. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you usually go?
Yeah, it's the second time I've been there. I still want to do like the Keys and all of that.
Like Orlando.
Yeah. I've done Orlando before.
Oh, you've done Orlando?
Yeah. Not with children yet.
I've never been to. You haven't taken them to like Disney?
Not yet.
Well,
no.
they're little still.
Yeah, I think we're planning it, but I couldn't do it in the summer.
Yeah. Was it really hot?
It was hot. Like we were in the water the entire time because
Oh
it was
my God,
just so
that sounds
warm.
amazing. No rain?
Oh, we survived a hurricane.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last day, the hurricane came. Hurricane Debbie arrived.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know her name
like
was
our
Debbie.
phones were going off like if you're in a car, get to shelter, like those warnings. And we had to drive to the airport Monday. So like Nathan and I both did not sleep the night before because we have to cross the bridge to get to Tampa. And the bridge is over the ocean. So one bridge was closed because of the weather, and the other one that we drove on, luckily when we went, it wasn't really raining. It was just more winds and stuff. Like our timing for everything was really good on Monday. So we avoided it, but yeah, we experienced a little bit of it.
I'm surprised like your flight even took off in the middle of a hurricane.
We were delayed for an hour, and we thought it was because of the weather.
Yeah.
But the time of our flight, the rain was stopping. So like everything just aligned pretty perfectly, but it was delayed because somebody on the flight from Toronto to Tampa, they had to turn out because they got sick. So it wasn't even because of the weather. So yeah, it was really interesting, but we made it back and it was good.
A little getaway.
Yeah. How have you been up to?
Good. I went to Boston around the time you were gone. It was really fun. I wish we had more time there. Boston is so underrated. Have you ever been?
No, but I've seen like a lot of people on my Instagram and Facebook have gone to Boston recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
didn't know that.
I've never been. I want to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, like tons of people are going to Boston recently.
We've been trying to go since like 2019, like my cousins and I and my siblings, and we just have never been able to get our ducks in a row. But this time we're like, let's just go. It's a long weekend.
Nice.
It was so fun.
That's
I
good.
want to go back because there's so much to do and like so much that we didn't see. Like we saw Harvard, we saw MIT. I got a Harvard Business School sweater because I'm a little poser.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe one day I'll go.
Yeah.
But no, it was really pretty. We went to Cape Cod, which is like cottage country, like south of Boston in Massachusetts. And I was like, I would love to bring my family, like my whole family back here and like do a cottage weekend. We like swam in the Atlantic Ocean. It was so beautiful. It was really, really pretty. Massachusetts.
nice.
And Massachusetts is one of the oldest states as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. In
Very
America.
cool.
And you can tell. You can tell. Like their roads are very interesting. The traffic situation is very interesting. Like you can tell it's like an older state for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. Anyways, now we're back.
So we're back and rejuvenated.
Yeah. We needed a little break.
Yeah. So today's topic is one that I really like. We're going to kind of go through the ins and outs of either building your custom home or buying one pre-done for you. It's fun. It's a fun topic because there's so many different things that you can consider and do with a custom house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to explore it with you guys. And it's a topic that has been coming up with a couple of my clients.
Okay.
So we're exploring like finding a home that's already done versus if they buy a plot of land with an old house on it, what could they build and all of that.
And do you mean like a house that's already done, meaning like a pre-construction, or just like a resale?
It would be like a resale custom built home.
Oh,
so like
okay.
somebody
Already built
tore
it
down the
custom.
original structure, or it was a piece of land, and they built this custom house on it.
And now they're selling it to
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, what's the appeal of building a home? And to me, it's something that we've done before, not from like the ground up, but it's something where it's completely you. It's your personal choices. It's your personal floor plan. You can customize it any way that you want. The downside is that there's a lot of decision making.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors you have to consider. I as
Yes.
well have done a lot of construction financing for clients of mine who have wanted to go this route. And it's not easy, to say the least. Honestly, I think the financing part is probably the easiest portion of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I think getting the financing, once you are working with a professional that knows what they're doing, is the easiest part. There's a lot of other factors to consider.
But let's dive into financing.
Before we do that. Yeah, let's dive into financing first, because it's probably the most important one, because that's how you're going to get the money to fund the project. So how will you fund this project? So there's two options. And it really depends if you are purchasing a home and tearing it down, or if you're buying a vacant plot of land and then just building a home on there. So those are the two options I would say that you could do if you're going this route of building your own home. If you're purchasing an already pre-built home and you just want to tear it down and put another house there, I would say you could go with a mortgage. So a mortgage is straightforward. We've talked about it multiple times on this podcast. You can get a mortgage from whichever lender that you can qualify with, whether that's an A lender, like a big bank, a B lender, or a private lender. The mortgage amount obviously would be the purchase price minus the down payment. And the fees you'd have to pay would be dependent on which type of lender you went with. So with an A lender, there would be zero to minimal fees. With B lender, there would be slightly higher fees, and then with private lending would be the highest amount of fees. So on top of that, most people would need a construction loan, because chances are you're not going to have the hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank to actually fund the project, right? Like getting the mortgage is just to purchase the home that you're going to later tear down.
Clarify. So you're getting the mortgage to buy the piece of land / house that's on it.
Not the piece of land, so that's going to be important.
Okay, so it's just if it has a
house on it.
Yeah. You're tearing that down, and then you're going to get a construction loan
On top of it,
on top of it for the build.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's like the first route you could go, and this construction loan will be in second position, registered against the house, because like obviously the mortgage is in first position, so the construction loan would be in second position. So that's the first option.
Yeah.
The second option is getting a construction loan. A construction loan would be if you're purchasing just vacant land, because banks do not finance vacant land whatsoever, right? So if you are purchasing vacant land and you need financing, you would go through a private lender to do a construction loan. So big banks will only look at construction loans if the land is purchased in cash.
Oh, wow.
So they'll give you a construction loan for the build costs, but the land has to be purchased in cash first, which could be like upwards of millions of dollars depending on where you're purchasing,
on location,
right?
yeah.
And depending on like, I would say most people looking to build a private, like a custom home, would want some type of acreage that comes with it too, right? Like my clientele usually have like at least 1 acre plus of land that they're looking at buying.
We'll get into location, but so like where my clients are, they're just looking for a larger lot.
Yeah.
We're not in the acres. We're kind of like 66 wide plus to at least for a good size build. Especially in Oakville, you need a minimum of like 100 and we're like 150 deep to get a good size house on it.
And that, like, buying that land vacant is not, first of all, it's not even going to be available. Second of
hard to
all,
find,
it's going to be expensive, like, depending on location, right? So most people don't generally have that cash in hand. So going to the bank is not a plausible option for a lot of people. So private lenders will generally fund up to 75 to 80% of the land acquisition, plus up to 100% of the build costs. So the build is like all your hard costs, which is like the material, and then soft costs, which is like the labor as well. So like management, like building permit fees, like all that kind of stuff. The way construction loans work is the money is dispersed via draws. The first one is usually dispersed upon closing, where they would disperse for you to actually purchase the land, so you can close on that piece. Then it is dispersed based on the percentage of completion of the home after that. And there are usually 3 to 4 draws dispersed. And in between each draw, the lender will send an inspector to ensure that the house is complete up to a certain percentage before dispersing the next draw.
And this is even goes for like larger projects. Like if I'm going to use retirement communities as an example. So like even if you're doing work as a trade for a company that's building a retirement building or whatever it may be, it's a similar progress. Like they have progress draws from the bank, and this is all how it kind of works.
Yes, it's pretty like standard. No matter which lender you go with, there's always going to be draws. There's always going to be, up to 30% complete. We will fund this much, up to 50% complete. And then the last one would be like 97% complete.
The benefit though is that they're funding 100% of the project. So you could basically do this with zero out-of-pocket costs.
Well, you would still have to put down at least 20% of the down payment for like the land or the home.
Yes. Yeah. But to build it.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially if you're looking to like sell it right away. It's a very good, viable option.
It's a very good option. Yeah.
Okay.
So docs required for construction loans are income documents, building permits, appraisal with an as is and as complete value. This is very important because the lender needs to know what the as complete value will be. That's basically what they're going to be, like funding based off of. Architectural drawings and plans, as well as a budget with a breakdown of how much the build will cost, including hard costs and soft costs, which I just talked about earlier. Important to know, construction loans can be either first position. So if you're purchasing vacant land and then doing a construction loan on top of that, the whole thing would be in first position. Whereas the second position would be if you're putting it after a mortgage. Second position loans will come at a higher cost as they have second priority to be paid out in event of default. Keep in mind that construction loans are also more expensive as money being lent out is not secured against a complete asset. Like it's still in the process of being made. So how does a lender know that you're not just going to take the money and like go to like Mexico or gamble it all away, So I always try to explain that to my clients when they're like, why is it so expensive? And I'm like, well, it's not even built yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Okay. So the second thing, other than financing, is location. So when you're looking at finding a property either to build, or we're just going to go with the build right now. Location is huge. So what we're finding is our clients like a certain area that have larger lots, but these are typically older neighborhoods that have smaller houses on them. So you could be the first one to do it in the neighborhood, which is always tricky. Or if you know that a neighborhood is transitioning and you see these homes being torn down and these larger houses being built, it's a lot easier for you to do that because you know that the value is there. The early transitioning neighborhoods is a little bit more challenging because you may be one of the first people to do it. You don't really know what your max value is that you can get out of there yet. So we always look at the cost of the house or the piece of land, and then what you could build on it, the building costs, and then what can you sell it for in today's market? Because we obviously know market ebbs and flows, but in today's market, if you were to build X, could you get this amount of money out of it? So those are kind of the things that we think about when we're looking at location. And typically when you're buying a property with a home on it, it's a lot more expensive nowadays, especially in areas in the GTA. If you go further out, it's a little bit easier. But in the GTA, if you're looking at buying a piece of property that has a house on it, you are still paying for the house, even though it's in whatever condition that it is in. The next thing to consider is style. So some people may have a very distinct style and they're not just finding it in the market, which is why they kind of want to go and build it. For this group of people that we're working with, 5 bedrooms is a really big deal. To find custom built homes with 5 bedrooms above grade is super difficult. Or even just the style. Like a lot of people just want to sit and I want a completely open concept layout, or they want certain features to be added. And when you're building your own, you can do all these things. You have your hand is in everything. So you can choose what you want to make. Your creation can go wild. But then if you're looking to sell it in the future, you want to make sure that it's not too distinctive and too far out there, because it has to appeal to somebody in the future.
In the future to buy it.
And that some of the homes that we've gone to, I've noticed like this is like super hyper tailored to this family's needs, and it doesn't really translate well to the mass pool of buyers, which is fine if that's your house, you're living there for however long, but it's just keep these things in mind when you guys are making decisions.
Another thing I wanted to add to that is location. When you were talking about location, it's so important because I had clients 3 years ago who purchased a plot of 4 acres of land in Pickering.
Yep.
And they were building on it. They built, and I did the construction financing for it. They built an 11,000 square foot home. Immaculate. Like, I did multiple walkthroughs of this home, took pictures, everything. It was the most gorgeous house I've ever seen. Had an elevator, had like 6 or 7 bedrooms, had like 10 bathrooms. It was grand. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But when it came to the appraisal, it was really hard for us to get the value that they thought it was worth because it was like one of a kind in that area, right? Which is why, as you said, location is so important.
Yes.
Because the appraiser was like, listen, it's not the house. The house is amazing and the finishes are amazing. And, you know, they had 2 kitchens and double islands and they had like the top of the line appliances. It was nothing like that. But it was like, we have nothing to compare this to. There is nothing comparable in this area where we can say, okay, this is how much it is price per square foot. And then when you go that custom, it's also hard to come up with a price per square foot. And then there's also economies of scale because as the house gets bigger, over like a certain number of square foot, the value also comes down, right? Because then it's like,
well, the cost per square foot goes down because you kind of are,
But it also like you start devaluing the house because it's like, okay, like nobody actually needs 11,000 square feet of space. So it's like, who's actually going to pay for it? Like realistically, unless you like find some like multimillionaire.
I find a lot of people when they start doing this, it snowballs. Like even with our construction, we've done like, okay, we've touched this, but now this has to be done. And doing a custom build can get out of hand very quickly. So you guys definitely want to keep honing in, like what are the necessities?
Yeah.
The style is huge. Like finding a good architect is massive.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of, you really need to know your area. That's the other thing.
That was like the hardest thing because everybody thought that this house would be worth like $6 to $7 million. And like in Southeast Oakville, it would have easily been worth like $20 million, right?
But that's the difference.
In Pickering, because there was nothing comparable out there, the appraisal came back at like $4 million. So they had to they got the house finished. It was beautiful, but they had to do it on a budget because again, like the lender will only lend based on the appraised value, right?
Yeah, and that's where your realtor needs to be saying like you're going to max out at this price point. So we do that for our clients. Okay, hey, if you're the first one in this neighborhood, great, but know that the value may not be here in the time that you want to flip it or whatever the case may be. It could eventually grow there, but you're gonna have to wait for the neighborhood to catch up. It's easier when you're GTA. I find more rural properties a little bit more difficult. Because there's
And I told them, I'm like, listen, you're paving the way for like the next people to come in and then they'll have it really easy because they'll have something to compare it to. But it's like being the first one and it's like such a unique property on so much land. It was really difficult. We got it done and it was amazing, like so beautiful. But definitely like a learning experience for me because I'm like, okay, like I would have never known this otherwise. That it's, location style is so important for the actual overall.
Yeah.
I want to add something to the financing section as well. Keep in mind that 10% of the construction loan will be held back as a lien holdback for up to 60 days after the city deems a project as being complete. This is due to the fact that contractors have up to 60 days to register liens against a house for unpaid work. And the 10% holdback will be used to pay out those liens if any are registered. So this is really, really important. This is something that clients get upset with me at, like, why am I not getting the full value that like my full loan amount because they're paying fees on the full loan amount, so they want it, right? But if all is good after 60 days, the money will be released back to you, obviously. During this time, you can also work with your mortgage professional to refinance the loan back into a bank if you qualify to save money on those payments. Because construction loans are usually always open loans, and they're usually only up to 12 months, like maximum, because they don't really want to just keep their money out there for more than 12 months.
Yeah,
like,
it's a tool.
Why is it taking you 12 months to complete the home?
Yeah, it's not a long-term thing. It's a tool
exactly
for a specific purpose and move on from that. So what's the next one? So we did financing, location, style.
Okay, time commitment.
Yes.
So this is important. And I think a lot of people, especially brand new, like people that are brand new into the building world, don't take this into consideration, is how much time it's going to take for you to complete this project. What is your timeline for your move? Like, are you trying to move yesterday, or do you have like 3 years to complete this move? Like, that's a really important question, right? Because be prepared to be waiting a long time. Building permits can take a very long time, as they have to be obtained from the city in which you're building in, and we all know how, cities like to take their time.
The city takes a long time.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, hire, like, your engineer could be doing all the permits for you. I stand by that because a lot of cities have working relationships with certain engineers, and they know, okay, this person, we've worked with them before, and they kind of push things through faster opposed to you doing it yourself. So the team that you bring together on this project is huge. But yes.
Then you have to hire an architect as well, a project manager to oversee the construction and work with the developer to understand how much it will cost to build. That's not even mentioning the time it will actually take to purchase the materials and then build the house, right?
A lot of people also want to take on that role of, I'm going to manage the project.
Yeah. It's very, very, very difficult, and you have to be very well versed in construction to like actually be able to take on that role.
Yeah, so I've done it. I've done it, and to be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way because I have Nathan who is completely knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But the amount of BS I was given by the tradespeople, because I'm going to say, because I was a woman, they didn't think I know what I was talking about.
No, totally.
It was remarkable. I would be like, okay, this isn't right. Like, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. So I always had Nathan to back me up, luckily, but they do try to take advantage of you. So just be prepared. If you're not knowledgeable and you want to take on this project, learn it. Yeah. Learn the process, figure it out. There's YouTube, there's tons of things that you can learn things from. But be very wary of the fact that trades do take time to finish stuff, even if they say, oh, we're going to finish it in
it always
3
takes
weeks.
longer.
It takes a longer time.
Yeah.
There's always hidden things that come up with a property that you didn't think of before, hidden costs, all that, which will delay a project. Is there anything else I'm missing?
The electrical and plumbing in the home has to be up to code, and you will require a certificate for that upon completion. So that also takes time, like getting the home inspectors to come in, doing all that stuff. Like, that also takes time.
And you're on their schedule too. Like,
you're on their schedule, and you're also on the schedule of like if materials are like backlogged, or if you want like a specific appliance, right? Everything has to be installed before you can go to the city and be like, hey, we're complete. Give us
the other thing is just to mention, so like when you're waiting for an inspection to happen, a lot of things have to stop until
exactly,
like especially closing the walls. You have to wait until everything's inspected and then close up and then go to the next thing. So it can take a lot longer than what you project.
Another thing you have to factor in is the carrying costs, right? So mortgage payments, like the construction loan, the first mortgage, all that stuff really adds up. Construction costs, like it's not cheap to
I think that's one of the main things that people don't realize. They think, oh, I can do it, which a lot of people can. You can do it. It's not, we're trying to discourage you here. We're just trying to make you aware of all the different things to consider when taking on this project. But what did you say?
Construction costs.
The construction costs, just holding the property alone and getting it to each next step. Is where all the bleed happens, because if you're going to be delayed, say 6 weeks, which can easily happen, that's an extra month, 2 months of these payments.
And again, like just to reiterate, even if you hire a contractor to take care of the build for you, you will need to allocate a lot of time overseeing the project yourself, especially if you're someone who's, I mean, obviously, if you are building a custom home, you know what you want and you're a picky individual, which is perfectly fine, like that, as you should be. You're spending a lot of money on it. But if you are one of those individuals, you're going to want to oversee the project yourself, which will take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Or you hire a project manager, like a general project manager whom you trust, but then that's another added expense as well. Lots of costs.
Again, it's finding that team around you that you can trust and to put the project forward, but you always want to be present. Like, I feel like when you're physically present, people work faster. It's even if you have a company, if the boss is not there, people are just going to take their time. So you want to physically be present at least once a day, just to like kind of oversee things, have constant meetings about like where we are, all of that, kind of keep everybody on track, even if you have hired a contractor.
Yeah, all of the construction projects I've been a part of via financing, they've gone smoothly due to the owners being there all the time. Like, and being like, hey, let's go, let's go, let's go,
100%.
let's go, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's anybody that you hire, you always want to oversee it.
Yeah.
So we've chatted about budget pretty much. The cost per square foot, which we're kind of giving to people right now, we would say comfortably, if you're doing a full custom house, is starting at $500 per square foot.
Which is crazy because I feel pre-pandemic it was like $300.
Oh yeah.
And that was like for like luxury homes. Like for a random home, it would have been like $250.
Yeah, and this was coming from one of the developers that we actually do work with.
Crazy.
So he's saying roughly 500. That's on like his cost, and he has relationships with trades and all of that.
That's crazy how much it's gone up since the pandemic. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you put your finishings on top of that. So like if you're going more high end finishings, then I would say you're kind of at the $700 to $800 per square foot.
That's wild.
Yeah. And then just have a separate budget for hidden costs because they will come up.
Yeah.
Things
always you
happen.
always need a buffer. Always need a buffer. I always suggest to my clients, like, okay, I see your budget, it's great, you have a breakdown, but just like maybe put in a couple extra tens of thousands of dollars for buffer room because you never know what could go wrong, right?
So just to give you guys an example, this project that Nathan's working on, this poor guy has had such horrible luck. So like one thing will get done. So like their master bathroom or primary bathroom, for example, got finished. And the plumbers didn't test the pipes before the tiles went in, cabinets went in. And when they tested it, there was a leak. So all the cabinets got ruined.
Everything had
that
to come
trickled down
out.
to the main floor. Main floor, anything underneath got damaged. So that was ripping everything up, redoing cabinetry, like all of that stuff. So you never know what can happen, but just prepare for it.
Prepare for the worst possible outcome.
And then choosing your finishings, and a lot of people find it's decision overload because literally you have to pick what type of wiring,
everything from
what
scratch,
type of light fixtures,
and I think you have to be. It can be a really fun project, like truly. Like I've seen people do it and like they have a lot of fun with it, but I think you have to have like that creative mind to like really be able to see like the vision of what you are going for.
Yes.
Like for someone like me, I don't know if I have that like imagination or creativity to like turn nothing into like something that looks amazing, you know? So you really have to be that type of person.
For me, it's fun, but there's a, it's like a roller coaster. Like you start at excitement. I'm really excited. Then you get into like, nothing's happening. Like we're in a lull. Like what's happening with the construction? I'm regretting everything. And then it goes back to, I'm seeing it kind of finished and excited again. So just know it's a whirlwind of emotions. You're on a little bit of a roller coaster, but you gotta keep going forward.
It takes up a lot of time, especially if you have a full-time job too, right?
Oh yeah. When we were doing our house, I literally just would sit in my car because it's under construction and work from my car and be there if they needed anything.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if that could be me. I don't know if I'm built for that lifestyle.
It can be a lot, which is why you have the reverse. And that is...
Which we're getting into next, yeah.
Buying something already finished for you.
Yeah.
So the benefits of buying something already finished is, one, you can already see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like a lot of buyers we're working with, are super highly visual, which we said before, which is why staging is huge. So they can't see what the project will look like when it's finished, but a pre-built home kind of gives them that leeway.
So now we're talking about pre-built custom homes, like custom homes that somebody else built.
Yeah.
You didn't build it for yourself, but somebody else built it, and now you're looking to purchase.
Exactly.
You have a client like this too, right? That's kind of going down that route. They want to purchase like a custom built home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we've kind of went through this scenario of them building. And to find the size lot that they need in the location that they want is very hard.
Yeah.
And then also what we didn't touch on before, but especially in Oakville, they want a balcony. You can't build a new custom house anymore. Balconies are not allowed.
Oh, no way. I didn't know
have
that.
to look for one. Yeah, that's pre-done. So your zoning and what you're allowed, like your bylaws change over time. So maybe what you're looking for, you're not allowed to do it anymore. Same with like diving boards in pools. They're grandfathered in now. So unless
You would
have
even want a
diving-
diving board. Oh my God. That
I know.
is just like a
You
concussion
can't
waiting to
put it
happen.
in. Yeah, it's safety. Like same with the balcony.
That's a
it's
good. That's a
safety.
good one. That's a good change. The balcony one, that sucks. I love balconies.
Yeah.
Oh, that
So-
sucks. I guess I'm never building.
But that's why the pre-built is for you.
Exactly. So another advantage is you can move in like immediately after closing, right? So if you don't want to spend the years of doing the permits and finding the team and doing the budget and doing all that stuff, you find something you like. Maybe it won't be 100% of what you want, but maybe it'll be like 95% of what you want. But then you also get to have it immediately, right?
Yeah, that's another thing we didn't even factor in is like where you're going to live when this is being done.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Oh
Like
my
where are
gosh.
you living?
Yeah, unless you have family that you can live in, or like
You're
maybe you'll
gonna
have to
have another
rent a
house.
house, which is
Yeah.
another added expense. Oh my goodness.
The other advantage of buying a pre-done home for you or a pre-done custom home is you know the neighborhood's already established. So you're not that first house. You kind of can see the projects around.
Yeah.
And you can purchase into an established neighborhood already done. The other thing is predictable costs. You know what it's going to be. You know the purchase price. You know what to expect. We didn't even talk about property taxes, that once your project is done, you're going to get reassessed for new property taxes.
And they're going to be much higher than what they originally were.
Exactly. So going into a custom already done home for you, you already know what the property taxes and all that stuff are kind of already predetermined. So you know.
Yeah. And you know like what your mortgage payment will be, you know what your, utilities will hopefully cost, like everything, like your closing costs, your land transfer tax, like everything you should already know, right? So there's not going to be many surprises.
It's less risk.
Less risk, yeah.
Yeah, you can save money by building your own home, and there's lots of advantages to do it. But for kind of the safe investor,
yeah, for someone who's risk averse, I would say, and like my next point, like someone who just wants less stress. Like maybe you're really busy and maybe you don't have time to do this. Maybe you run your own business, or maybe you have like a crazy schedule with your kids and whatever else, right? So for people who don't want to take a lot of stress, for people who just want to move into a home that's just turnkey, they don't have to move a finger, everything's just done for them, buying a pre-built custom home is the best option.
yeah. And to be honest, like the ones that we're going through, they're really well done. Like the
I feel like most
construction's on
custom
point.
homes, like you will have like basically everything you're really looking for,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like if they knew what they were doing, which I'm sure they would.
There's tons of different floor plans out there. Like the quality of finishings, they're there.
Yeah.
It's just when you are not finding what you really want, or if you love a project and like this is going to be, you're pouring yourself into it, custom's good for you.
Yeah. And also like unless you have a really, really good team, like maybe you are a busy individual, but you have an amazing team and you're like, okay, like I can just offload this on them, then go for it. Like that's amazing. I think that's like what a lot of celebrities do too, right?
They
just have a good
we say
team
this
around
a lot.
them.
The team around you,
Yeah,
is
it's like
huge.
I think the most important thing, right? Because then
Yes.
it just takes off so much stress off of you.
Yeah.
And you can like trust that person. Trust is the biggest thing when you're building a home, I would say. Like that's
I think it's
gonna
in
be your
anything,
home.
like doing business, even with real estate and mortgage brokers. Like it's a common theme in our topics. is
Yeah.
you want the right people around you.
Yeah.
Because essentially you're like handing it off, and there
Yeah.
you go.
Totally.
Yeah.
Next point, finding the right team.
We're
We're gonna drill this home to you guys. I know. People are gonna be like, okay, we get it. You want us to have a good team.
But it's true. Who you surround yourself with is massive.
Yeah.
All right. So your main things to ask yourself before you kind of go on this adventure, if you're considering buying custom or building custom, is timeline. What is your timeline? What is your budget? How much control do you want? And then are you ready for the process?
Yeah.
Because it is a process.
Yeah. And did you talk about budget too?
Budget. Yeah. That
Yeah.
was number 2.
Yeah.
Timeline, budget, and always budget higher.
Always budget higher.
So I hope it was helpful. I think we touched on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we did touch on a lot of things.
So you're
Did
more
we forget anything at all? We touched on where you would live when you are building.
I think that was huge to add.
Yeah. That's another cost as well.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And another thing you have to think about, because a lot of people don't really just have family that they can just move in with, So they would either have to like rent or get an Airbnb. Then you would have to like hire like use a storage room or like you know, rent a storage room to put all your belongings in.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah,
That's just bringing me back. Sorry.
yeah, it's like a lot. It's like that. Have you ever seen that show on HGTV called Love It or List It?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
It always brings me back to that, and it's like crazy.
So I interviewed for Love It or List It vacation properties.
No way.
Yeah. This was like probably 8 years ago, just before we had kids. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was the third runner up
Like to be the realtor?
to be the realtor.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I don't think it lasted
You would have
long.
been famous.
The show didn't, I don't even think it was around for like, I think it was one season. That was it. But yeah.
That's really cool that you
That
were
was
auditioning for
hilarious.
That's
that
really,
just
really
brought me
cool.
back. Sorry.
Yeah. But no, I think I would probably lean more towards buying a pre-built custom home just because I don't have it in me to like be that visionary of like what I want to turn my home into. Unless I had the right team.
I see the value of buying pre-done because like it's all there for you, you know. A lot of things people don't even realize is like external costs, like the outdoors, landscaping, and all
Oh
of
my
that
gosh,
too.
yes, we did. Yeah, that's a huge one.
Like you're literally doing everything.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Like even laying grass. Like my clients who bought that 4-acre property, like literally had to lay grass now because it was just dirt.
Yeah.
So that cost a lot of money, and then flowers and landscaping and
Yeah.
oh my, it's ridiculous. And then they wanted a pool, so that's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Like
It honestly, it can be a really fun process. But yeah, keep that budget in mind. And yeah, I don't want to discourage anybody.
no, it's definitely not to discourage you because again, like we've both like helped a lot of people do the building way. So obviously, and I honestly find it really fun. Like I love when clients are like sending me photos of like it was just drywall and now it's this, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like I think it's so fun.
Honestly, it's
But
very satisfying if
it's
you're
so
working on a
satisfying.
project and seeing it hit all the stages.
Yeah, totally.
But we've like being in this business, we've seen it go really good and really bad.
Yeah. So we like
So we want you to be like
objective.
they're really good.
Just bring the facts to you guys.
Exactly.
Not really convince you one way or the other. So
All right. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any other questions, be sure to comment or message us. We'd love to hear your feedback. And thanks for tuning in.
we will see you next time. Bye.